Well, the three debates are over now, and I think Romney won. I think he's surging. I think he'll continue to surge. And I think that he will ultimately carry this election in a landslide. And it's going to be fun to watch. Obama made a fundamentally wrong decision at the start of the campaign. He could have waged a campaign running on his record, although I understand why he didn't. Or he could have run a campaign based on his plans for the next 4 years. That's what Bill Clinton did, and it was very effective, moving to the center and projecting goals for the country. But instead he chose to do a wall-to-wall, 100% negative campaign aimed at vilifying Mitt Romney and saying the last thing in the world you want is somebody like him as president of the United States. He doesn't care about the average person. He destroys jobs. He's outsourcing. He'll do anything to make a buck. He defends the rich people, the whole bit. And people in the swing states came increasingly to believe it. There were hundreds of millions of dollars of ads, literally, of attacks. And by the time they were finished and continued to run, people had real reservations about Romney. He had an unfavorable rating, about 10 points higher than his favorable rating. And his favorable rating was about 8 to 10 points lower than Barack Obama's. And that really posed an obstacle to people being willing to support Romney. And that worked especially among women and opened up a significant gender gap against Romney. Then Romney began to show people who he really was. He did it at the Republican convention, where he gave a very effective speech. And then he did it in the three debates, where we saw what kind of guy he is. We saw he's an optimistic, nice, congenial guy who cares about people, who understands their problems, who's really moved by them and effective. Sometimes he seemed a little Reagan-esque and corny, but he was still really an empathetic person. And we saw his knowledge of the economy, the specificity of his plans, and ultimately the Obama attacks just crumbled. And when Obama repeated them in the debates, he looked mean-spirited and gutter. And Romney also rebutted them, saying that Obama also had investments in the Cayman Islands and that Romney's was run by a blind trust and he had nothing to do with it. Very effective rebuttals of that. So Obama has no campaign left. He can't go back now and build up his record. You see how pathetic he is when he does that in the debates, and he can't project a vision for the future because he really doesn't have any, and he has never attempted to do that. So this momentum and the substance of the exchanges is all going to work now in Romney's favor. What's going to happen now is that there will be new swing states. When you look at the Electoral College, there are 206 votes that Real Clear Politics says are either leaning Romney or solid Romney, and I think that's right. That's essentially the 179 electoral votes that McCain carried, plus Indiana with 10, North Carolina with 15, and a few others to bring him up to 206. Then you have Florida, which all the polling now shows that Romney has decisively won. Last poll I saw, he was 6 ahead. That's a private poll the Republicans took. So that's 29 electoral votes. That brings him up to 235. Then you have other states which he's well ahead in. He's 4 to 5 points ahead in Colorado, which is 9 electoral votes. And he's way ahead in Virginia, not way ahead, but 4 or 5 points ahead in Virginia. That's 13 electoral votes. That puts him at 257, and he needs 270 to win the election. Then you get to a series of states where, as of this moment in time, the race is either tied or Obama is only 1 or at most 2 points ahead. And these are 90 electoral votes. Romney only needs 13 of them to win, but they're a total of 90. In order of pro-Romneyness, probably the best bet of these states is Pennsylvania, then comes New Hampshire, then comes Ohio, and right in the thick there with Ohio is Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, and Iowa, and Nevada. And Romney will undoubtedly carry many of those. I personally believe he's going to carry all of those because I think that the president is under 50, basically tied with Romney. More Republicans are going to turn out than Democrats, and the undecided will go against the incumbent. So I think if this continues on this trajectory, you're probably looking at Romney not only clearing 300 electoral votes, but being closer to 330 or 340, which would absolutely be a wipeout and would be a landslide. And isn't it interesting how all of the money that Obama spent, and for that matter, most of the money Romney spent, other than in the primaries, really didn't matter very much. What mattered in this election was the debates. These 3 90-minute segments where we really got to see each man and got to really understand what they were about. And it's absolutely fascinating to watch how the American people are getting to know Mitt Romney and, frankly, falling in love with him. I have always said when I go to Republican dinners, they're traditionally called Lincoln Day dinners, and now they call them Lincoln-Reagan Day dinners. And I say when I'm 80 years old and I go up with my walker, this is going to be the Lincoln-Reagan-Romney Day dinner. I think that he's a new Reagan, and all the bemoaning we've done of why can't we find a new Reagan, he was sitting right there all along. I think he needed the seasoning of 4 years of defeat. I think he needed to lose the '08 election and get away from his sort of managerial, administrative competence as opposed to really getting out and feeling the way people feel. But I think he's matured, I think he's grown up, and I think he will be an absolutely fabulous president. And I think he will be president. Now, one of the challenges he's going to face is to undo what Barack Obama is going to do to us during the lame duck session. And I've been warning about this, and people are not focused on it. In Dubai in December, they're going to sign a treaty giving the United Nations control over the internet and charging everyone a fee for using the internet. In December, the United States Senate will be called upon to ratify the Law of the Sea Treaty, which will impose carbon emission restrictions on the United States and tax American offshore oil wells for the benefit of the Third World. There will be a Robin Hood tax on the table, which taxes every financial transaction every time you buy or sell a stock or a bond or you change currency. That would be taxed by the UN, and that will go to the Third World. There's a gun control treaty that Hillary was supposed to sign at the end of July. We all raised hell about it, and she backed off it. Now the General Assembly is passing this treaty, setting it in stone, and after Election Day, I'm sure that Obama's going to sign it and going to try to get it ratified by the Senate. And these are serious incursions into our sovereignty. That's why we brought out our book, Here Come the Black Helicopters. It was just on the Times bestseller list, which is great. But I'm sure many of you don't have a copy yet, and it is very important to read it to understand what this guy is going to do to us. His defeat in November is only the opening blow. What he's going to do over the next 7 or 8 weeks could leave permanent damage in the United States unless we rally and we fight it. Thank you.